Why are there so many chicken and egg jokes in this episode? What the fuck is happening with the writing of this
stuff,
show?
And then
chicken yolks.
Waka waka.
And then you see TJ's cock.
That joke was excellent.
Really cracked for a gut.
Good audience tonight.
Pudding. Welcome back, everyone, to S1E1, the show where each week we pick a different sitcom, watch just the first televised episode, and forgetting anything we might know about the feature run of that show, rate it and decide if it's a show we want to greenlight or cancel. This week we're going to be talking about Free Spirit. Free Spirit went 14 episodes but only one season on ABC. Today we're talking about episode 1, which was called Pilot, originally airing September 22nd, 1989. So to get things started, I'm Jay Gags. With me as always, the boys, Nick, Ferg, Joe, and Gordo. What's going on, guys?
Heyo.
Hello.
Find out whoever picked this show, I'm going to turn them into a fucking croissant. Holy guacamole, Batman. Is this not a good TV show?
You guys didn't all grow up watching Free Spirit?
I'm angry that a show called Free Spirit is about a witch and not a ghost, like I was led to believe.
That
Right?
was it
a
is
good
an
point.
interesting play.
I thought it was a
onward.
show about people who went to a liquor store and got free nips.
That would have been infinitely more
would have enjoyed that.
interesting.
I'd also like to say this up front because when this happens, I like to say it up front because if anybody from the show is ever going to listen to it, they're going to hear the first couple minutes. I don't think, for the most part, this cast it's just bad. Everybody who's in this has done interesting things.
They do a good job with what they have.
It's just that this show is fucking garbage. We get the little kid who's the good guy doll from Chucky. Yeah. You've got Bobcat Goldthwait's love interest from Citizens on Patrol, my maybe third favorite Police Academy movie.
Oh, what ranking? What an honor to be your third favorite Police Academy movie.
Well, you know what? My favorite
Dude, there's
Police
7
Academy.
of them. That's like actually a pretty high bar.
That's my second favorite. First one's my favorite. Citizens on Patrol number 2.
I go 2-1 Citizens on Patrol.
So yeah, and first off, I want to welcome everyone. It's our third annual unnamed Halloween spooky dookie spectacular
extravaganza.
Yeah, so
dookie.
each week in the month of October, we release a different supernatural, Halloween-ish kind of related show. We've done it for 3 years now. So this is year 3. We've already done 2. We have 1 more next week. We found this show just kind of searching. Obviously, there's only so many shows that even kind of fit this theme that you can do for Halloween month. So here's Free Spirit, a show that I don't think any of us have heard of up until us now recording a show about it.
Can I say that I thought this was one of those like newer ABC shows, so I was expecting like a modern...
I was too. I didn't think this was going to be from 1989.
1989. On TGIF. This was part of the TGIF lineup, boys.
I was 4.
Just proof that they don't always hit home runs.
Aliens
there's
in
a
the
lot
Family.
of bad shows on TGIF. Yeah, we were.
I actually didn't know TGIF went back that far. When
Yeah, me
did
too.
TGIF start?
I
know
think that maybe the first
at least
year.
89. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's one of those things where TGIF has had so many monster hit shows that have like stayed on that lineup for years and years that you kind of forget that a lot of weird ones kind of would poke their head in and get canceled and they'd move
Like
on.
Aliens in the Family.
Wasn't Teen Angel another one, which I think...
TGIF did start September 22nd, 1989.
So this was day 1. This was day 1 TGIF.
Yeah.
They were like, guys, we're
Holy
going to make
shit.
people want to stay in on Friday nights. Typically the most fun night to go out of the whole week. What do you think will keep their attention? I know. Free fucking Spirit. How fucking dare you?
To be fair,
Gordo, careful. I don't see your chicken arms in the scenes. Keep your arms down.
Chickens don't have arms.
no, they got wings. To be fair, it's the 80s,
Barely.
barely the 80s, almost the 90s. What are you really going to do on a Friday night? You're going to order pizza, come in, and watch this new block of television.
Gordon,
that
I think you have it
everybody-
mixed up. Back then, people went out. It's now that everyone stays in all the time. Back
Yeah.
then, people did things.
Yeah, Friday you
but-
would have gone out for dinner or met your friends or gone to a concert or something. You
Do some
would've-
cocaine, get in trouble. Yeah.
Go to the roller derby.
Back in the good old days when you could do cocaine. I am so mad for the youth of America right now that cocaine is terrifying.
Yeah,
Like,
That's
These
a hell
kids
of a
really
drug.
got fucked over, huh? Not being able to do as much cocaine as the old generations.
look, I'm not saying cocaine's like a wonder drug or anything, but cocaine was fun back then. It's not fun anymore. Now it's terrifying. That shit
Not
sucks.
to say that this show is good in any way, but its competition on the TGIF or the TGIF lineup rather, was pretty big. So it went up against Full House, Family Matters, and Perfect Strangers.
Wait, not competition, teammates. They were just the weak person
Yeah.
on the team.
Tell the showrunners
also-
that.
That makes the
Yeah.
most sense of all, too, because the dad in this show, clearly they took him aside, maybe after some beautiful 1989 cocaine, and were like, I want you to just pretend you're Danny Tanner. Just
No, but like a
pretend
hip one.
That you're Danny
Right?
Tanner. You're kind of sad. The wife is gone. The kids, this and that. Maybe a girl comes in. He is playing it. This is an actor who has done good things, and he's literally playing it like a fucking Bobo second-rate Danny Tanner. It is not
Since
good.
you brought it up, do we know what happened to the wife? Did she die or did she just walk out on her
Divorced.
family?
Divorce.
Divorced. It's
Because they act like she's dead. They
You
certainly
know, he makes
act
a
like
comment
she's
about
dead.
it early, like kind of like in the middle, but
It
they
is
do
for-
kind of play it.
Forever doesn't mean the same thing it used to, but
Yeah.
the way they react, the way that she's not around, it just seems like she's dead, or she was at least originally written to be dead, and then they're like, no,
Yeah.
too much divorce.
And they were like, that's way too close to Full House, so maybe we should change this.
Just make
Can
her
I
a
also
runaway.
say that the dad looks like Danny Tanner?
Well,
A
he's
little bit?
tall.
I
That's what I'm
got the
saying,
same
yeah.
thing.
He looks like him, he's acting like him.
I definitely got that vibe, yep.
If he was wearing the San Francisco Giants baseball jacket in this episode, instead of that really cool leather jacket he puts on to go see Pond Scum, he would have just been Danny Tanner.
He's the, like, Mom, we want Danny Tanner. We have Danny Tanner at home. Danny Tanner at home. Like,
I want to watch TGIF, we have TGIF at home.
I don't know if you guys mentioned this because I was reading, so I might have missed it. But this only aired on TGIF once.
Yeah, it got immediately moved to the death spot of Sundays.
Yeah.
so I'm hearing Aliens in the Family did better than this show on TGIF.
Was it only for 1 week? Because I'd read otherwise. I saw that it lasted on TGF for longer than that.
No, if you look at the Wikipedia, it says Free Spirit premiered as a preview broadcast on September 22nd, 1989 at 9:30. On the first night in which ABC's Friday lineup used the now popular TGIF format. On September 24th, 2 days later, the series moved into its regular time slot of Sunday at 8/7 Central, airing between two other freshman series, Life Goes On and Homeroom.
You know what? Then I refuse to give this TGIF credit then. It was just a preview.
It's even funnier. That means people had to watch 2 episodes of this show 3 days apart from each other.
Those poor souls.
Isn't Life Goes On the 60s the drama about the family with Corky? That
With the
seems like not
corgi?
the thing. Yeah, isn't that the
I
show
have it
Life
right
Goes
here.
On?
It is an American drama television series that aired on ABC. It centers around the Thatcher family living in suburban Chicago.
They have
oh
the son
my
who's got like
God.
mentally challenged son
Yes.
or whatever, Corky. Yeah,
Yes.
but like that's like a serious show. And then they're like, after that, they were like, and the wacky divorced guy's here. Like this is terrible positioning of TV shows.
Yeah.
You know what didn't help the show too? As I did a little bit of homework on it. So a few months in, it starts in September. Said it gets moved to Sundays. Now a couple months into the show's run, Direct Competition, a brand new show debuts on Fox, going head to head with it at the same time. You may have heard of it. Still airs today, called The Simpsons.
Wow.
Well, is that really direct
Ooh.
competition?
It is when it's on at the same exact time.
yes, it is. Yeah.
But I mean, are the same people watching both of those things? Is what I mean.
Well, they're both comedies, so
like they're
so.
different demographics.
Not that different.
I think not season 1 Simpsons though. Season 1 Simpsons is pretty tame and pretty like middle of the road.
But here's proof. I watched The Simpsons. I did not watch this, but I watched TGIF. So clearly The Simpsons won over this show.
Say also, funny tidbit. Well, they said the show that ends up replacing it. So there was 14 episodes got made of this show. 13 actually made it to air. They canceled it without airing the 14.
It's out there somewhere though, baby. I want to see it.
Yeah,
There was an
the-
unaired pilot, right?
No. It was something on the back.
No,
of
there is
episode
on air
14.
No, there is an
Oh,
unaired
there's an
pilot.
unaired
though.
pilot. I was gonna say episode
With a different
14
dad, and the dad is Brock from Reba. And I'm so mad we don't live in the world where I get to see Brock beat from Reba be the fucking dad in this show.
Okay, so
No, I
this
think-
is legitimately a wannabe Full House because they have an unhit pilot with
Yes.
a different Danny.
Yeah, that's
God
true.
damn
That's
it.
true.
So the show that ends up getting put in the slot to replace this on its Sunday time slot, also still running. Well, as of, I don't know, maybe done now. I'm not sure at this point, actually. America's Funniest Home Videos replaces it.
Oh wow,
With Danny Tanner.
Danny Tanner.
Yeah.
this is a very Bob Saget.
R.I.P.
Yeah,
But yeah, Free Spirit, again, it's a show that I don't, it's just one of those forgotten shows. And I do like covering things like this, especially standard, classic, kind of late 80s, early 90s sitcom. Right in that wheelhouse, shot the same, kind of has that vibe. So it's fun to watch it, not knowing anything about it. This is one of those few times we could watch a show that none of us have ever seen or watched
I do
before,
like that,
knew anything
yeah.
about. So it's always kind of good to go in like fresh like that.
Everybody came into this fresh, which is interesting.
Yeah, so IMDb has this clocked in at a 6.5 on the series. Rotten Tomatoes has nothing
Go fuck
on either side.
yourself.
6.5? That is
6.5 what?
That is egregious.
People, again, though, it's always tough. I always like to go over the numbers just for the sake of giving the numbers. But remember, you're talking about a show that had a non-existent run in the late 80s. The only people that are going on IMDb and like rating it, like it's such a finite group of people. It's not like
Does it say how many people graded it?
I
Or
could
no?
go back and look. I will assume it's not many.
It's got to be 4. Like,
Would you say
Yeah, could be
IMDb or Rotten Tomato?
IMDb, Rotten
IMDb.
Tomatoes has nothing. And I also want to quickly remind everyone, go to S1E1pod.com if you don't already have a subscriber and everything. Wherever you listen to your podcast, wherever you're listening to us right now, make sure you subscribe. But also that will give you all the links to our social medias. S1E1pod on Instagram.
It's actually 150.
wow.
And also X, now known as Twitter. So go ahead and listen to that. And not listen to that, but go and follow us there. Interact with us. Follow us on our social medias. In any event, we might as well get into the episode itself. There's only so many fun facts we can get into with this show that has very little information on it. Starts with the intro. Ferg, I assume you must have liked the intro, right?
I actually really did like the intro. And then I was excited reading all the names because they're all on other stuff.
So, classic late 80s, early 90s sitcom song. You have the song, you have like the clips of everybody on the show. Song written by the people who wrote the theme song for Growing Pains.
I can
This
tell.
is composed by
tell,
David
yeah.
Michael Frank, also, who did the theme in all the composing for such films as Steven Seagal's Out for Justice and Suburban Commando, Code of
The
Honor.
greatest movies of all
Yeah.
time. Suburban
This guy
Commando.
has an amazing discography, and I was very happy to see the song works, but I don't think the visuals work.
Yeah, this made a great first impression on me, and then
I know.
downhill from there.
I don't have the best ear for, instruments, but I'm pretty sure it's very clarinet heavy.
I think there's I don't remember enough because I watched it once today, and then I poured hops and barley in my brain so I could try to forget the show a little bit, but I think I remember clarinet.
And Gordon, do you want to sing the theme?
Free spirit,
Nope. Okay.
which is coming in my window.
They're doing what?
Also, I don't know if you watched this because the witch did not come in the window. The witch very clearly came in through the
Like
roof.
a tornado, should have been through my window. Free spirit.
Close.
There's your
certainly
clip
close.
for Instagram, Jay.
So the song doesn't actually sound like that, but again, classic kind of sitcom intro. So I did like seeing that. I was like, okay. And I'll be honest, I went into this one thinking like, I'm going to like this show. I don't know why. I was like, this looks like this is going to be a diamond in the rough. We found like a little gem here, but we find out real soon after that's not the case.
What I do like about this, though, is in the theme song, they're going through everything, and it's like, and then, like, Frank Lutz as, like, TJ or whatever, and then it just cuts, he's like,
He hit his
like, when
microphone.
they do that, they like, fumble something and then stop, and they stare at the camera. It's so perfectly, like, freeze-frame 80s, and that made me very happy as we were going into this, but I enjoyed that a lot more than the rest of the show, I think.
I thought what was cool is this has a young Allison Hannigan in it, and she is in this witch show, and she plays a witch on Buffy many years later.
For a lot of years, too. That TV show Buffy, that was not good, unlike the movie Buffy, that was great.
I like both. You don't have to choose one or the other.
You know, I'll give you credit for that because I appreciate that, and I'm
You're
giving
right,
you
Ferg.
that, 'cause
Just like
you're-
wrestling.
No, you must choose.
Don't do it.
You must pick an acronym.
But most people only like one buff or the other and fight about it. So I appreciate that Ferg can appreciate both.
When I
Get
first
her dirty.
found out about this show and I'm looking it up and like, cause I think I'm the one who found it and like said we should probably do this for the Halloween month. When I saw she was in it and this was she was like a main, I was like, what? Like, how do these shows even exist and not be like, if one person from a show like this breaks out later in life, you think the show would be more known based on that alone.
We can't watch it, but do we assume that the 14th on-aired episode is the one where she's getting ready to go to band camp and the witch is like, let me show you something that you can do when you're over there that'll make all the other kids really into you?
Here's his chicken.
There goes Joe again. The underage weird shit.
Hey, I didn't say anything. Your mind is leading you to something I did not say.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe she
Telling
just
yourself.
taught her to play the clarinet.
See?
She only has 2 other acting credits before this, too.
I thought you meant in general. I was like, oh, you sure
It's
about
like,
that?
She's been working pretty steadily for a long time.
about that?
So, all right. So in the first scene, we meet the father, TJ, but throughout this episode, we kind of know him more as Thomas. He's an attorney and he practices out of his house, which kind of gave me, it's funny, the theme's the same people who did Growing Pains theme. Growing
Big sitcom
Pains-esque, where
Yeah.
he's like, you know, he has his
Yep.
private practice, not as an attorney, but, you know, Mr. Seaver does the same thing in his house. And he's with his client, and he's in the middle of he's promising how he's going to be better than the last attorney this guy had. He's going to keep him involved in every decision that happens. Doorbell rings, and he's like, should you get that, or do you want me to get that? And I thought it was actually like a funny little intro joke.
That's a quick little good
I didn't
joke.
hate
It's
it,
not
yeah.
bad.
And then he goes to get the door, and he tells his client that they're currently between housekeepers. It's probably someone just putting in for that job. And then when the door opens, it's just some young girl who's there to talk shit. Like,
Yeah, I thought that was
It's a 9-year-old
really
who's
fucking
there to
weird.
talk bowling shit. It's very strange.
so apparently this little girl is going to be going up against Thomas's youngest son in some upcoming bowling tournament and just wanted to let him know that he's toast. It's like, what an effort to what, did you get dropped off by your parents?
Like,
We
can you
need
see
her
like
fucking nerd
Terminator
dad
walking?
later. Yeah, but so she either got dropped off or she walked all the way over there just to be like, tell Gene he's going down.
Well, to be fair, there was no social media back then.
But there are telephones. You call from your house, like, is Gene there? You're going down, Gene. Click.
How do you look up a number if you don't
The
know?
phone book.
Because I don't even think this girl's 10. You can't just be like, bye, Dad. Gonna walk down the street and tell Gene that I'm gonna kick his ass later this week.
Maybe they're
Also, like,
neighbors.
Yeah, maybe
In the
they're
town,
neighbors, we don't
in
know.
Winthrop, the town we all grew up in,
Could
there
be,
was
yeah.
a Winthrop phone book that had everybody's phone number and address in it.
Including Seymour Butts.
It's true.
Wow,
There
Ferg with
was a
that old
scene
man
like
laugh.
I
Sorry,
forgot
I'm a
about
little
that.
verklempt.
So after this weird interaction with the little girl, he heads into the kitchen because there's like music blaring out of the kitchen. And that's when we meet the oldest kid, Rob. I'll say like from what just early impressions of when we meet Rob's character and just him talking and like acting and stuff, I felt like he was like such a good sitcom teenage kid that if he had landed on a different show could have been like a really big star, but he ended
Yeah.
up on this show.
He kind of reminds me of Robbie from Dinosaurs.
No,
I thought he looked like he was 30.
I thought that he was the oldest son in Home Improvement.
I can see that.
He has a similar
obviously,
look.
I mean, I knew that the time didn't line up because he would have been like 3.
And
when
then
this
he
show
would have
came
been
out.
in a car chase scene with the wife from, God, what's that terrible show we covered? Damon Wayans Jr.
Happily together.
I think so. Something like that, yeah.
Happy
Unhappily.
Happy
Unhappy.
together.
Happy.
Yeah.
Happy together.
But no, I thought he was like,
Fuck that shit.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And then I looked up his IMDb. He didn't really do much after. And it was like,
Just some TV work, yeah.
man, he just got some bad luck. Like, he ended up on the wrong show. And
How did everybody else on the show go on to bigger, better things than this kid did?
I would say that happens more times than it doesn't, though. You know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
surprising that the people in this have, like, enough people have done interesting things.
Think about how many
than-
famous people there are, and how many of them missed it. You know what I mean? It's
Well-
got to be 90 to 10.
I'm just saying, it's seldom you see a show that like sucks where every other person goes on to bigger, better things.
Well,
except
they've
for
all
that
gone
one
on and
kid.
did some bigger things, but I wouldn't say like not a lot of them had like these gigantic mega careers, but were lucky enough to be part of like some big projects.
Yeah, and do good work and work for a while. you
Yeah.
know?
And while dad's arguing with his son over the, volume of the music, that's when the middle child, the daughter, Jessie, that's Allison Hannigan's character, she runs in and she's pissed off because Rob apparently told the kids at school that she was born a Siamese twin. She's like, 2 girls asked to see my scar in gym class. Of all the weird things you can like spread a rumor about your sister, like I just felt like I thought it was funny, but it's like not believable to say Siamese twin like that
It
because
was pretty dumb.
Because then wouldn't you also have the other twin? Wouldn't they be in school with you
where's
as
the
well?
other
Because
one?
they're
Yeah.
the same age.
But what if they were
The
like
other twin didn't make it.
the other twin didn't make it?
that's dark.
I mean,
What was who was on South Park had on the face?
Oh, she had the nurse. She had the
Yeah.
fetus on the side of her bed. I don't remember her name.
But yeah. Well, anyways, and during all this is kind of the opportunity. The scene is basically the way that we're meeting all the children at once.
You like show the kid's personality scene.
So we get a little bit of the oldest son, then we get the middle daughter, and now the youngest son, Gene, walks in. He's like, "Dad, you ready for tonight?" And he's like super confused. He's like, "Wait, what?" It's like, "You're gonna teach me how to bowl tonight." And I guess he totally forgot. Which you think though would have triggered his mind when that girl came in talking shit earlier, that he would remember the bowling thing. But apparently that was not enough to flag his memory.
Also, they've just moved there too, so it's not like he knows her and it's like a thing they have. Like this isn't a Kimmy Gibbler scenario where it's like, oh, that's the neighbor girl. It comes over and does stuff. Like there's a scene here earlier, a little later rather, where they aren't even fully unpacked yet, except for Gene's bedroom, which just like every kid in the 80s inexplicably has in a sitcom, a full functioning traffic light in their room, because that was a thing that we all
that was
missed
really
somehow,
popular.
but I'm kind of bummed about.
But didn't
Like,
you
he's
want
like,
one as a
oh.
kid? Because I wanted one because I used to see
We're
it in the
adults. We
sitcom.
can
Yeah.
have them now.
I mean, like, I will say, if you ever like see one, like not the
We've
more
talked
modern
about
ones
this.
that are digital, yeah. When you see the real metal ones from when we were kids, they're like 6 feet tall. That it would be very hard to make that work in your house.
what the
But as a
city
kid,
doesn't want to tell you is you can go up and take them. Nothing.
And apparently that's what happened in the 80s with every kid in the world.
every child.
So we find out that he can't teach him how to bowl tonight because he has to draft a will, which I thought was a really weird thing to pick for him to have to do tonight.
Yeah, any other legal thing, like, sorry, I have to do something that is about death in the sitcom in the first 2 minutes. Like, okay, bud.
So this
And
is
then-
why this is one of the first reasons why I thought the mother was dead. I thought he was drafting his own will because there was no mother anymore, and he was dealing with not getting anything.
No, just
He's like, I
lawyer
lost
stuff.
your mother's Siamese twin daughter bones, and because she had no will, they went to science.
It was Nurse
Michael
Gollum.
Jackson bought them with the elephant man's bones. Oh, thank you, TJ. I appreciate it.
And then it's weird. Jesse's like, "Oh, don't worry, Daddy. Go work on your will. I already started dinner." It's like,
What a saint.
it just, I don't know. The will, it just made it so weird. I just felt like it was the worst thing they could have picked for all the things he does for work.
How do you have to work on a will? Isn't it just like a template?
No, it's
Doesn't
very
the-
confusing.
But doesn't like the
It's like
person
an-
who's giving the shit away work on most of the draft and the lawyers? I don't know. I don't have one.
I mean, you got to go through it, notarize everything, make sure the wording's exact, because then somebody else can scoop in and take the stuff.
Yeah,
like
but that's
someone
not
else in
done
the family, if it's
independently,
not
right? You're not doing
Here's
that.
the-
The lawyer's not doing
You'd
that
have your
Yeah.
lawyer do it.
with you.
Here's the thing:
though.
the easy will, though, if I was to die tomorrow, right, and my will, like in this scenario, right, like my will would just be like my wife gets everything, right, like that's super simple, right?
Yeah.
But when you're older and you've got multiple kids and dependents, and in his case, if he was working on a will for himself, who are the kids going to go to? Now, you're adding pages and pages and pages of all this different stuff. And I imagine if you're going to have like that sort of thing too, you have to have those people involved and notarized on the will also. So I think if you're a shithead like all of us who doesn't have a lot of stuff or like a big giant circle, it's probably pretty easy. Probably do it
Speak for
online on those
yourself. I have a
websites,
lot
but-
of stuff.
Who's
I mean,
gonna get all your
stuff,
Halloween
yeah.
decorations?
But again, I think with that stuff all the time too. It's like I have a lot of stuff too. It's like, and I'm sure some junk company 60 years from now is gonna take my life's work and just toss it into a dumpster.
Good for you, Joe. Almost 100.
Yeah, I plan on living very long.
Um, so I want to go back a little bit. So, this house, I thought it was really interesting the way his office was set up, because it's like when you first get into the house, they kind of like panned it. It was almost like looked like a stage, because off the living room, it faces you.
It's
So, like,
also
it just-
raised.
So yeah,
have
it
a
just like it
door.
pans into his like office, which is like almost looks like it's there for display. I thought it was kind of an interesting setup and weird that they did it that way.
With this kind of show, I can't believe there's no alcove. Like when they
Right.
did the tracking shot through the kitchen, I was like, and here's where we see the alcove, and his failed alcoholic comedian friend is going to be sleeping in there.
We don't meet him till later in the season, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Does this kitchen remind anybody else of Who's the Boss?
I don't remember. You know, it's been so long since I've
Yeah.
seen Who's the Boss that
I don't really remember it either, but I don't know. It was like, it's such a weird rustic kitchen for the house that it's in, and it gave me the vibe of the Who's the Boss kitchen.
I would say Growing Pains kitchen. more
Yeah.
than anything.
It feels smaller than the Growing Pains kitchen.
Yeah, the Growing
though.
Pains kitchen is huge.
it was massive. They had
Yep.
like that whole. It looked like there was a greenhouse.
They had the
attached to
the
back.
greenhouse, yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, the way it was set up with the table and the counter all the way to the right.
Like, I wondered if it was like used at the same time. Did the years line up on that?
I think the Growing Pains have already been going a couple of years at this point.
No, Who's the Boss? I mean,
Oh, Who's the Boss? That seems about right around this time, yeah.
Oh, they needed a housekeeper and they got a witch. Imagine if they got Tony instead.
first
Imagine if they
episode
got
of Who's
Mona?
the Boss was 5 years earlier.
Hey, bibbity bobbity boo. So
Oh, hi, Tony. Like, no matter what, that's his name.
in the shower. Oh.
it's me, Tony the Witch. So
I'm gonna do a talk show later. It's not gonna be very good. Like, oh, I don't know why you're telling me this. 'Cause I'm a witch and I can see the future.
all right, I'll just tap dance my way out of this one. So we cut to a little bit later on in the night now, and we're in Gene's room, and he's sitting there alone, and he looks a little sad. And that's when his older brother walks in. He's like, "Hey, like, you all right? You know, do you want to talk about it?" And he's like, "Well, what makes you think I have something I need to talk about?" And then Rob replies with, "I've got lots of homework. Please, it's me, remember?"
What does
I'm
that
like-
mean?
What did that mean?
Yeah.
The kid said he had a lot of homework when he's saying it didn't bother him that he
Yeah,
couldn't
I got
bowl.
this too.
The brother was saying he saw through the lie. Who would say that they had homework? Like that they were
Yeah,
happy.
don't
with
lie
having
to me.
homework.
I know that you're not gonna come up here to do homework. You're
I'm a
bummed out you're not
slacker,
gonna go
too.
Bowling.
Yeah, just I thought the delivery was weird. It didn't really track.
No, it worked for me. Like I
Oh, okay. So I see what you're saying. It's a callback to when
Yeah.
the dad said he didn't have time. He mentioned the homework. I didn't know.
yeah,
That's his
far
reason for
apart.
going up into the room and talking to him because
Yeah.
he knows something is off.
But the audience laughed, and I was like, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Also, real quick, I
like-
know we're gonna get there first, but every time you mention that, the audience laughs. This might be one of the weirdest shows ever to think about watching in the studio audience because so much of it is effects
Yeah.
or things
Oh,
that are
yeah.
done as trick shots for so long. And then, like, there's, again, every show, there's one guy who's like, like, really hard. Where you're like, "Wait, did they give you drinks? Like, what are you laughing at? You're the one guy who's, like, really into this.
You mean to tell me she didn't really spiral through the ceiling?
Well, she came to the window.
So
I'll
while
be
they're-
home soon.
While they're having this conversation, and Rob's trying to kind of be there for his younger brother, and he finds out his brother's upset that he's not going to be able to learn bowling in time for this tournament.
how do you not know how to fucking bowl? You throw
That's
a goddamn bowl.
Well, he's young. He's young. Okay.
No,
Like, so
I'm kind of with Gordo here.
It's-
Like, you're not gonna learn how to bowl like the night before.
you can know, like any sport, even bowling, like you can learn techniques and be better at it.
Well, yes, bowl well, sure, but like, hey, see these arrows in the middle of the lane?
Throw it
Throw
at
the
it.
ball at them, and after a few times, you'll get a better hang of it. It's not like, I'm going to teach you how to throw a slider.
It's still, if he's never bowled before, the dad should take him to
Then
practice.
why is he in the finals? Why does he get it?
He's not in the final. It's a school tournament. Like it
Then
could be
why
the
did
opening
he get?
round.
Can I go ahead for like a second? Can I go to the end of the episode? Or no?
Do it. Yeah.
I mean,
No.
Actually, Gordon, just real quick before you do that, I thought you were yelling at Jay and you guys were going to get in a fight. I thought you were like, can I go ahead here? I was like, oh shit, they're going to get in a
yeah,
fight right now.
I
Okay.
didn't think you were
No.
talking about the episode at the time.
No, I'm talking about the episode because
I don't think it's important. I'm just saying that the idea that his dad was going to teach him how to do something, whether or not you guys regard bowling as something that needs to be taught, it's one of those. His father was supposed to teach him how to do it. He's nervous about doing this tournament, was relying on his dad to help him.
Yeah.
His dad's not there for him.
why is he entering a tournament if he does not know how to
It was
bowl?
a school
Sounds like
thing.
it's-
Maybe it's required.
It's like a
for all we
mandatory
know.
thing. It sounds like.
Yeah. My issue is not that at all. What I was trying to say is, why did his fucking brother offer to take him bowling that night?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I thought was coming. And
me
it
too.
didn't.
Well, you know why? Because his dad never taught him to bowl either. So
Yeah.
you can't pass on what you don't know.
Guys, we're talking about children right now, but don't forget that this family has a lot of children, but it's also missing one child, okay? And that one child is a bowling instructor.
We'll get to that.
Holy shit.
But I don't want to
Gonna be.
I don't want to get into the heavy
I literally
yet,
threw
okay?
my hands. Okay, yeah. Good.
I'll say this, as goofy and stupid as this show is, I love the family's relationship, like the brother checking on the little brother and sitting with him and talking it out with him and stuff. It's like,
Yeah, that was fine.
It
I
was
still think that there
warm.
was an easy resolve if he's like, hey, man, like, come with me. I'll teach you how to bowl.
I think that all the actors had kind of pretty good chemistry with one another.
they did.
So I have a note
it's just
at the
dog
scene.
shit writing.
I
Yeah,
have
it's
the exact
bad
note.
writing.
The word for word, the thing I wrote down was, I actually think both kids are doing a great job in this scene. Like, both are good actors dealing with some iffy dialogue, but they're making it work. Like, that was
Yeah, I
word
think that-
for word
like
what
I
I
said at
wrote
the-
in the moment.
At the
I think-
beginning, the whole cast did pretty good.
I think the only actors that I didn't feel their chemistry was the dad and Winnie.
I agree
I
with
thought
about
they
the
were a little
dad.
awkward.
Yeah.
And I think
when
that
he comes in,
is-
when he comes in horned up on her later, you're like, if this is
Yeah, so I definitely want to tackle that when we get to that, but I think it's because I don't know what dynamic they're trying to have between these two.
Yeah.
But to round out this conversation, Gene's very worried because not only is he in this tournament, but he's going to face a girl. He can't lose to a girl. And even the brother's like, oh no.
he's like, oh shit, you're gonna lose to a girl, you
And that's when
fucking
we find
pussy.
out-
You're like,
yeah.
oh man, cool.
Chicken wing boy.
And
Can't
that's when we
lose
find
to
out,
a
yeah,
girl.
she calls him chicken arms. It's like, chickens don't have arms. Yeah, then you see my problem.
Why are there so many chicken and egg jokes in this episode? What the fuck is happening with
A
the
lot of
writing of
chicken
this
stuff,
show?
though.
There's
And
a lot
then
of chicken yolks.
Waka waka.
And then you see TJ's cock.
That joke was excellent.
Really cracked Ferg up.
Good audience tonight.
Pudding. As Rob's still there trying to console his brother a little bit and be there for him, he's like, listen, you got my attention. I'm here for you. And that's when it's like, Rob, someone's on the phone for you. I'm talking to my brother. It's Lori. And then he's like, I'll see you later. And he just bombs out, which it fits the bill for a kid that age. Like,
Sure.
it-
It's a
it
girl.
gets-
Oh fuck.
And
He doesn't
then,
want to get called chicken wing arms.
so now Gene's all alone in his room. He goes, I just wish someone in this house had time for me. Just for me. And then the thunder goes off and you just see a girl spinning from the sky out of nowhere. It's this weird effect.
Also,
of-
is Thunder a character in this show that they don't credit in the opening sequence? Because is
Yeah.
it God? Are we supposed to believe it's God?
Thunder is the unofficial voice of whoever she has to answer to.
Yeah, I get the god vibe from it, but it's like, are they witches or are they god?
Yeah,
like, I don't
angels?
understand.
It's no, it's
Clearly
like-
Thor.
Yeah.
Is it Thor?
Yeah.
it's whoever is the head of the witches council is apparently talking
Samantha.
But yeah, so we see this girl come down. It's like a weird. It's a bad effect, but again, it's an '89 sitcom. I didn't expect a lot of.
Well,
At this point, I'm still under the impression she's a ghost, by the way, when I'm watching it.
too.
I'm like,
yeah, that's
yeah.
me
fair.
too.
She comes in ghosty.
She does.
Well,
She
you know how
does.
witches famously just, spin into rooms and show
and
up
grant
out of nowhere.
wishes.
And grant,
Grant
wishes.
wishes. Yeah. Is she a genie? Is she a ghost?
And not
Is
only
she
that,
Shaq?
I was gonna make a Kazam reference.
You have to.
and she comes in and like the effect is like poo colored.
It was a brownish hue until she finally lands.
It's an odd hue, I will say. Why is she spinning? Why do we not know who she's talking to?
They do seem very unsure of what witches are.
So
The
she
people who
was
do this
spinning
stuff.
because right before the wish, she was stuck in the dryer.
You know
So-
how like they used to do those test audience things where they have like yes or no, like or like ding, like that's how they used to do shows. I feel like
Yeah.
this started off with like, and then she says hi God, and it was like like this is paganism, and it was like then she says hi Thor, it's like that's fucking another thing,
Yeah.
and they're just like fuck it, you know what, test audiences are screwing us over, just don't mention it.
Well, I get the vibe throughout like the whole show, but like I feel like they pitched the show as okay, she's gonna be a witch, and then they never discussed it until they started taping, and they were like, oh fuck, how does she show up? She spins in through the ceiling. What are her powers? I don't know. She's not really that good at some of that. It just seemed so unprepared for the story.
There's a
that
lot
they
of
started.
illogical witchcraft that I want to
Yeah, like,
tackle as we get
well,
to it too.
Not
I
only that,
feel like
but-
there was a lot of rewrites in this script too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she says they have to do community service. Like, that sounds like angel shit.
Yeah, so basically,
weird, yeah.
We find out, yeah, she's a witch. In every 100 years or so, they have like this like community service thing they have to do. So basically, when Gene made this wish to have someone there to help him, her number was up, and that's how she magically appears here. Her name is Winnie Goodwinn. I was wondering, do you think Goodwin is because it sounds kind of like Good Witch?
Probably.
No.
That's what I thought it would be for. Like, not that it was
No,
like...
isn't that like a famous Salem witch trial witch, Goodwin?
Oh, I have no idea.
I literally went to the Salem Witch Trial Museum again for the first time as an adult, like less than a year ago, and all I remember is my brain just thinking of that scene in The Crucible where it's like, she's a whore! I was like, why is that all I can think of? Why is that all I remember for any of this? Also, why does Daniel Day-Lewis not just act? Why does he have to pretend he's whoever he is in these movies?
Why is Jean skeptical that she's a witch, despite her appearing out of nowhere from the sky?
Woman spins into your bedroom? Take her word for it, bud.
You're not a real witch. What? What else does she need to do? Like...
And again, more ghost stuff, though. At this time, she goes, did you make a wish as my time was up? Oh, when it was my time? I was like, her time of death. I still was like...
this is death stuff.
Well,
exactly.
No, because then she explains the community service thing. So it was like her number...
That was
every
after.
And Winnie Goodwin is a name that kind of sounds like an angel.
I don't
Be
know
good.
many angels personally, so I don't like... So I don't
I'm
have
looking
like
at 4 of them.
She was
Angel
originally...
names?
Oh.
No, I was talking about you.
Oh, thank you. I thought it's like, is Gabriel
Oh,
there?
fuck. Are my wings showing again? God damn it.
Maybe she was originally an angel named Winnie Goodwings. And then when they made her a witch, they shortened it.
And then
Maybe
she went
she's-
on to star as the plane in Wings.
I was just going to say, she's a good actor. Maybe she should have been on a better show called Good Wings, because this is not Good Wings. This is Bad Wings.
I know an angel who looks identical to John Travolta.
Michael?
Jeez.
His name is Michael.
Oh, jeez.
Jeez.
I do like what happens right
Sandy?
here. She's going to prove that she's a witch, right? So she's like, look, I'll prove it. I'll turn this lamp on. And then she goes and looks at the lamp for a second and then just walks over and flicks it.
Did anyone else laugh?
I laughed.
I thought that's just funny.
Okay.
I laughed
I
at
was
that.
so mad at myself for laughing at this, but I genuinely did
It
laugh.
was charming. You know what I mean? Like, it was,
I
like, it was good
laughed
for her.
because she found it hilarious.
Yes,
Yeah.
her
And
laugh.
that got me.
She is great. Also, she's in a bunch of sitcoms that all lasted one season.
Was
in the
she
90s.
Booger's wife in the Revenge of the Nerds?
4? I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where I seen her before, other than Citizens on Patrol.
She's in the best part of Citizens on Patrol, too, where Bobcat Goldthwait's like, nobody understands me! And she's like, well, maybe if you just, like, speak a little slower. And he's like, I meant personally! The funniest fucking line of the whole movie. Oh, fuck, I love that movie.
Hey, speaking of Bobcat Goldthwait, Jay,
What's up?
you've had 130 plus episodes to perfect this.
I have.
Give the people
You
what
have
they want.
perfected it?
No, I've had that long to do it. But I don't have
He
that.
hasn't had that long because the joke didn't start at episode 1, and we just put out 130.
Good point, Ferg. Maybe a few more months then. He
I
finally
mean, you can
does
pass the
believe...
buck all you want. If I know one thing about Bobcat Goldthwait is he hates when people talk about that stuff to him, and like I would be so bummed if he heard that and didn't like us because I love him so much.
I like how in Joe's world, all these celebrities are listening to this show.
They barely like our tweets.
If I thought anybody was listening to this show, I wouldn't have said half the shit I've said on this show. Come on, man.
Valid, yeah.
So the thing that finally makes Jean realize that she's a witch, despite all the other very obvious things she's done, is when she cleans his room for him with like the snap of her finger.
No, it's when she makes the lamp explode and catches on fire.
No, that didn't really even do it. Like, he didn't say anything
No,
until
he did.
the room got cleaned.
He did, because then he hid behind the bed, right?
Yeah, he runs
Yeah,
away.
he gets
at that
scared and
point.
runs
Yeah.
away.
You could be afraid of an explosion without thinking that she's a witch, though.
They use so much flash paper in this episode; it's bananas.
Also, how did she survive? She was a witch on fire.
Yeah, that's usually not good for them.
Isn't she dead?
I don't know.
She should be. It's free spirit, and there's no spirits.
Well, anyways,
There was free spirits flowing in the writers' room, and we know that at least.
now that he's sold on the idea of her being a witch, she's like, oh, good. Can you teach me how to bowl? Like, and why is her reaction like, bowling? Like, that's like, she's like disgusted by it.
How
Because
fucking
she's
dare
probably
you.
used to really selfish, fucked up wishes.
And that,
Also, too, she has to help him with like one thing, and that's what he's wishing for.
that's what
I'm-
it seems like. It seems
I'm
like
going
as long
with
as
the
you do your good
technicality,
deed-
by the way, is his wish, his actual wish was, I wish there was someone who would always pay attention to me. Not, can someone, the bowling thing came second. So the actual wish was that.
But she's not a genie, so that's not, so it's not like a technicality like that was your wish. Your wish is my command. It's like she was just summoned through that desire.
Again, it makes no sense though, because I don't think in the canon of witchery, this is how this works.
Right, and again, this show has holes in it. You know, we're talking about a
holes,
show
a lot
that
of
didn't last
bowling
that long.
ball-sized holes.
Like,
Yeah, it is
that's
odd
how
though that she's so anti-bowling. Like I don't know why.
It's just,
that's
I didn't
like an
understand the
agenda she
reaction.
has,
She
yeah.
like seemed disgusted. Like
You
bowling,
think
bowling.
that's how Darren got Samantha? He was like, I just wish I had someone that I could make out with and fuck all the time.
It's like I want to park my car in front of a train and make out with a lady. All right, hell yeah.
So, Jean's dad heard all that noise upstairs with, Jean and her talking the whole time, and while he's heading up there, she kind of informs Jean that she's not allowed to tell grown-ups the truth about herself, which seems like a weird witch stipulation.
Creepy, weird thing to say.
Only kids can know.
I'm not allowed to tell
Yeah.
grown-ups about me. Is the
But no.
exact quote.
Even
Yeah,
that, but,
what?
all right, take all the creepy, weird shit aside. It just seems like a very, like, again, this has nothing to do with witchcraft. It's just like, only kids can know. Like, it's this fun thing. Like, again, we're looking for logic where there isn't any.
Yeah, it's just weird.
What if a parent made the wish?
Oh,
Right,
you know that
yeah.
dad was making wishes. You know the scene at fucking the end of Animal House where like the little kid is
Thank
reading
you,
Playboy. Yeah, that is the dad as an adult in this. Where he is reading Hustler right now, asking the god Larry Flint to send him one of his things, and thunder cracks, and this is what he gets.
In any event, when he shows up and makes his way into the room, he just instantly just assumes that she's there in response to the ad for, like, the new housekeeper.
He's not
And
immediately startled by the fact that there is an adult woman in the room with his little kid.
Right.
That was my thing. It's like,
Yeah.
Me too.
how long have you been here? Why didn't anyone tell me that you were here? Even it's like, look, she cleaned my room. It's like, so how long was she here for? Was she here for like an hour?
So I agree with you guys, but the fact that he was expecting a housekeeper, I kind of let it slide.
But there's no specific
Okay.
people. It didn't sound like there was like set interviews. It's just, I have an ad out, so if the
People
doorbell
just
rings,
show
it's
up at
probably
the
for
house
that.
whenever they want, apparently.
I mean, Fran Drescher just showed up, and then she got a job, and they never answered what happened to the original person that was supposed to show up for the job.
Well, if you remember, though, Fran showed up because she was door-to-dooring, though.
No, I know that, but there
But
was
we don't know what
supposed to be
happened to
somebody
the-
else.
And then in
coming
a,
for
in
the-
a slightly
right.
better nanny show, Country Comfort, she got stuck in a rainstorm.
Thunder.
It's thunder outside. That's Mama's thunder.
The god of witchery, yeah, sent her there.
Yeah, there's thunder in both
That's
episodes. Wait, is
Mama's
this a
thunder.
prequel to Country Comfort?
Maybe she's the dead mom.
Oh.
Oh,
All types.
shit! We have maybe just merged two very cucka shows.
What? But the
Country cucka.
I gotcha.
Mama used to teach us how to bowl and everything.
yeah.
That's Mama's bowling ball.
Country cucka.
Homer.
So to spin it back, the dad wants to see some references, now thinking that she's there to apply for the job, which magically appear in Jean's hands, and he's like, oh, all these references are great, but they're all out of state. It's like, you have no idea.
Do you think she worked for the Smythe family? Not Smith Dairy, Smythe.
St. John Smythe.
Couldn't he pick up a phone and call them? Like, what the hell does it matter if
Did
she
no-
was out of state?
Did nobody get my Mrs. Delphi reference?
I was just gonna
other
say,
than
Ferg, I like that your scenario though, where this isn't actually a witch, it's a warlock, and it's a warlock in female clothing. It's like, hello.
Ow, I just hit my head on the wall.
But also, so look, they don't mention it in this episode, but if you look up the synopsis of this show, right, it's like a family moves to Connecticut from New York City after the parents get divorced, right? That's
That
the
explains why
synopsis
it sucks.
of the show, which of course Connecticut's awful, so is New York. But anyway, 'cause,
Oh,
like-
we have listeners in both states. Again, I can't stress this enough. We don't agree with most of the things Joe says. So, any of you from Connecticut or New York,
I
who are
like
listening,
Connecticut.
You would.
I can say without, giving any specific numbers, we do very well in New York. So my apologies to the state of New York.
I
for
like
Joe.
New York too.
I live in the woods and I'm from Boston. I'm not here to judge anybody. But what I'm trying to say here, though, is that he just moved out of state. He shouldn't be giving her shit for having all out-of-state references. Bud, you're from out of state. You just moved here.
Well, hers out of state or out of the country?
He said out of
Out
state.
of state.
Stay,
Okay.
yeah.
But they could have been like way out of state. They could have been spaced all around. Like maybe there was like one in California and one in Idaho. Like maybe it's just like really random.
The
It
It would have been
deep
like
south.
Transylvania because it would have given her Dracula blood because this show has no idea what this woman is. So
He
they
was
would
like,
have just
all
thrown
your
some other
references are from the
random thing.
South. And she went, yeah.
The deep south.
I literally just said that.
Good joke, Jay.
Yeah, Jay, that
Sticks.
was.
My dad's in hell. He's falling apart. It's tough when TJ gets older.
Get the flask.
Popeye's chicken is fucking awesome. Big
You
horny
make
bird.
the TJ very nervous. If this episode ended with Henry Winkler covered in bees, it'd be such a show.
So ultimately, all this conversation leads to her eventually getting the job. Most notably when he sees that Jean's room's clean and she's the one credited with that happening. So he's like, all right, well, I'll show you where the guest room is. Like we could try you out for a couple days and I'll show you where you'll be staying and like kind of go over the job with you. And he heads out. And then before she follows him, there's a little bit more dialogue between her and Jean. And he kind of points out like, oh, every time I clean, like I just shove everything in my closet. And that's when the closet door busts open. And we see that like, even with magic, she did the same thing, which like doesn't, if you're just doing like witch stuff to make the room clean, like you didn't have to shove everything in the closet. You could have just put everything where it belonged.
Yeah, but
Yeah, you
she's a
could've-
free spirit. Wow.
I have a feeling that like she has magic, but she's just bad at it.
I like that. I feel like I could see that going forward in the series of the show.
I think they were just going for the gag and they don't think about logic in the moment.
To be fair, though, I'm going to give them credit here. That's a gag that they did that actually plays to the studio audience. Like, the studio audience got to see somebody actually, like, some PA, like, pulled a string, like a fishing line, and everything fell out. And that's why the laughs at least their work, where
It was
every
well
other
done,
gag
too.
in this-
It was good timed, and it looked.
Yeah, no,
good.
I mean, it was fine for what it is.
Perfect amount of garbage, too. Like, it was a good amount of stuff fell out, like, where it looks like it's way too much, but they didn't make it look too overdone,
So now in the next scene, we're in what's going to be Winnie's room, and Thomas is kind of cleaning up a bit to make room for her stuff. And she's looking around the room a little bit and sees this old picture of him. And it says, to TJ, love always, Annie. And that's when he gives that, always isn't, what it used to be. So, and that's kind of when we get that little, I could see how it looked like maybe the wife died, but in reality, they're just, it's a divorce.
She
He
must have
plays
done
it like
something-
death, though.
He must have
Yeah,
done
well, he's
something
sad,
fucked
yeah.
up though, because how did he end up with all the kids?
I thought that too. Look, it takes a lot, and like that's not fair. I'm not saying this
He's
is
a lawyer.
fair.
He is a
Oh,
lawyer.
there it is. Yeah, you got it, Gordo.
In that, and reading the description on the picture, she goes, oh, people call you TJ? And he's like, Thomas is fine. And this scene is basically just kind of him explaining about the kids and the expectations of the job and that she's going to be there to cook and clean and all this stuff. And hands her a list for tomorrow, like all the things that he wants. I don't know, again, like I think the scene was like fine, but none of these jokes are really landing. It's a little corny, but I think that they're both decent enough actors that it's like getting you through it. But then when, I don't know, I can't think of many like actual scripted jokes in this episode or in these scenes that like made me laugh. Very few.
This just feels more to me like the Full House thing, though, where like again he's like we get that it's not a death thing, but it feels like it could be, and he's being a little too overly sappy about it.
Yeah. So it's like looming in the air during that whole situation.
Yeah,
Well,
so
they
like
just-
it gives you a question, which it shouldn't give you a question. He should be like, it turns out that love is only or always is only 3 years until you meet a stockbroker. Like you make a joke about it, and then you know she's not dead, and then you don't make it seem super uncomfortable the whole
Yeah.
episode. But you're like, is she fucking dead? Like
They
the
did
kids.
they did a really bad job in not addressing it this whole episode. It's never clearly stated unless you
Which
read
I
up
don't-
to know.
Understand, like, were they intentionally ambiguous that because they didn't even know at the time,
They
or like
weren't.
it just seems like a really weird like path to take for something so like important to the story.
And that's why I think there were rewrites in the script, because I think she was supposed to be dead, because everything else leads to that.
I think that we are not seeing the bigger picture. They just moved in out of state that we just went over. The dad probably just got divorced. That's why he's playing. Dude is bumming right now.
No, we get that, but I do think that there's something to what Ferg's saying. This could be a product of rewrites. The network could have said, as they're about to launch all this stuff, hey, this is a little too similar to Full House. We can't make it another widowed situation with 2 shows running at the same time. Let's switch this one up and just make it so that they got divorced.
I love the idea of him driving, like the original theme song is him driving in a convertible through Connecticut bridges. Doo-ba-da-bop, wow now, go ghosts.
So when he leaves the room, this was another weird thing. She has that list that he gave her, and she throws it into the trash barrel, and it bursts into flames real quick, and she goes,
More flash paper.
yes, Witches 1, Mortal 0. And it's like, what does that mean?
Who's keeping score right now?
What was the competition there? Like, I don't understand the context of this.
I mean, I guess we're to believe that if you are a witch, you internally are always in a proxy war with human beings.
It's like always keep
a land struggle. Yeah.
Does this go back to what Ferg's saying? Was there a joke that got cut and they forgot to cut out the line after? That's the response to it?
I think it has to
I
be.
think so.
I don't know. I just remember that really flagging me as I'm watching. Like, what is this in reference to? Like, what do you mean?
It was
witches?
very out of place.
And then we cut to the next morning, and all 3 kids are in the kitchen together. And Gene's telling his older siblings that he found a new housekeeper and that she's a real witch. And then you get like the sister going, "Come on, give her a chance." And now she walks in like a robe, and because she mentions earlier she's not really a morning person. Rob's like, "Oh, great, we got Stephen King's housekeeper." I'm sorry, I get that she's like in a robe and not like done up, but she's a very, very attractive girl.
A beautiful woman walks in with just her hair up, and he's like, "You look like a horror movie." Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
This kid's
Especially
He's a horny 16-year-old.
I was gonna say he's been established as a hornball in earlier scenes, so she should be like, "Oh, good pickup, brother." Like,
literally, they just put her hair in a bun, and he's like, "Well, she's not fucking hot anymore." This is like 80s glasses on girls so hard, right? Where it's like, take the
Paint
glass
on her
off. She's not a
overalls.
fucking ghost anymore.
It's like, okay, and I'm saying in real life they're probably not even that even far apart in age. I know on the show they're probably stretching it a little bit, but she can't be any older than her like early 20s at this point. And
No.
he's probably real life like 18, 19, and he's like, "Ugh, yuck." It's like, what the... This girl
It broke my brain when he yucks at this girl.
It was so weird, especially just in general, just kind of knowing that character type. We already ran out of the room earlier when a girl called. He's supposed to be a horny teenager.
Like, that dude's having sex with the couch cushions. He's not going to call that woman ugly or Stephen King, like, whatever that even means, right?
So this attractive girl who you just find out lives in the house with you now, and he's like, "Oh, damn." Like, come on.
Yeah, there's an attractive adult woman who you're not related to who's going to sleep and shower in your house now. But like, I don't want to see her Tommy knockers.
She's 29, by the way, in this episode.
In this episode, wow, she was that old at this time?
Okay,
Wow.
older
She was
than I
born in
thought.
58.
What about the son?
Good question, actually. I meant to look him up earlier and forgot.
He was born in 1962, but his career died in 1989 after being on the sitcom.
also, is his career the free spirit?
Ooh. Well, that one got away.
Spooky.
He does not have enough information about him. Oh, okay. 68. So he was
10 years difference.
19.
This is whereabouts unknown.
So if you're, so when they're filming this episode, say he's like a 19-year-old in real life, and this is like this 29-year-old girl walks in, and he's like, "Ew, yuck, look at her hair not kept."
That's not even not
Bathroom.
kept, it's just up. Yeah, she's in a bathroom. Like, how fucking dare you? Terry cloth. I can't jerk off to that. Like, well, what are you doing, buddy?
Oh, she's got paint on her overalls.
Ponytail
Mona
and
was here.
glasses.
So now, Jean asks for eggs for breakfast, and she opens up a cabinet, which is full of live chickens, and she grabs a couple eggs and hands them to him.
Joke
And
is
then-
foul.
This is that thing, though, that I hate in TV shows and movies, right? Like, so you're watching a movie, guy goes up to a bar, "Hey, how you doing, Willie? Can I get 2 beers?" No one does that. That's not how this works, right? Like, you also don't say, like, "What do you want for breakfast?" Like, "Oh, can you make me eggs?" Like, you have to be more specific about what kind of eggs you want.
I'll even let that pass, but she grabs the eggs and just hands him raw eggs.
Just
Like,
gives him 2 eggs.
Just gives him the
Yeah, I
eggs.
know, right?
What the fuck? Yeah.
Now, I don't know if we've had this debate, and I know we've gone off the rails a little bit. tonight.
Scrambled.
A lot. But
Is that going to be your thing?
Yes. How do you
It's
guys
funny if
like
Gordo
your
was
eggs?
going in a completely different direction for apropos of nothing screams out scrambled.
I
oh,
honestly, I like all forms of eggs. If I had to pick, though, like my typical breakfast is probably going scrambled. But again, it depends on like what's with the eggs is how I want them.
if I'm
I
in
mean,
a
a
breakfast
breakfast
place,
sandwich.
yeah, I'm most likely getting my eggs over easy.
Me too.
I did
like
over
a little
easy
runny-
today. Actually, I got a bag of those frozen eggs O'Brien. Potatoes O'Brien. Basically just home
Eggs
fries.
O'Brien.
Just like potatoes and peppers and onions and shit. But
Yeah.
I just did some over easy eggs with those.
That's
But-
always good. Yeah, that congeals nicely with each other at that point too.
I do fucking love eggs.
I love eggs.
Me
I'm
too.
not big
Same.
on hard-boiled eggs. I'm like those.
That's
No,
my
those
one. I don't
two,
like
yeah.
hard boiled.
I don't mind it every so often.
You get a little salt on them.
What don't you
but
like about
they're
it?
The,
fine.
the
It's the
texture's
consistency
weird.
for me.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
like
yeah.
the oak is so dry at that point, and like they get stinky. Like
I don't eat the yolk and a hard boiled.
So I assume you guys don't like deviled.
I was just going to say
I
to
like a
bring this
deviled
to
egg. That's
spooky
different
month.
though.
What about egg
That's-
salad?
Yummy,
I
yummy.
don't do eggs.
I love me some egg salad.
I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I haven't had egg salad in a long time. I want some egg
I mean,
salad.
I've never in my life sat there and just ate a hard-boiled egg.
Really? They're good.
No.
I like
I
how
mean-
that's breakfast and like on TV. They have them in the little cup thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just-
You know, it's one of the most underrated egg scenarios ever. The eggs in Chinese food, fried rice.
Oh, I love
I
it.
concur.
It's not in
That
enough fried
is-
rice.
That is so good in fried rice. When we make it at
Not
home, we'll
enough
always make an
places
extra
do
egg.
that.
Yeah.
What really like grosses me at like if you go to like I work at the airport, and like the convenience stores in the airport will have like just the packages of hard-boiled eggs that you like
See, that's
Yeah.
gross.
that
Yeah,
you just
that's
like
gross.
rip out of the plastic and just like pop them. Like I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
like,
they're
just-
fucking gum. Yeah,
just
no.
buy a fucking Cliff Bar, you freak. Like why do you have to eat that?
You
It
think,
might
like, when,
it
like-
might taste the same. It's still gross for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain things like you don't eat from the gas station like that. You know, like prepackaged or whatever. But like again, like Jay, I think perfect thing, right? Like, you ever been somewhere like, especially on a work trip? Like Nick, I know you travel a lot for work. You're there somewhere. You're like, I can't. There's no restaurant around here. I have to get through this. Like a thing like a Kind Bar or a Cliff Bar is just like the easiest. I'm not worried about getting sick in this weird place while I'm stuck here for a day. Thing.
Yeah, I'll
Like,
get
it's
or I'll
just,
get like almonds
de
or
facto
something.
meal or like
Yeah.
nuts. Yeah.
I will say though, the hard boiled egg too is good for, and I only know this because my roommate did it for a while. He would just make a bunch of hard boiled eggs, and then in the morning he'd cut them, heat them up, and make a quick sandwich. Like, so you don't have to make an egg in the morning; you just heat up what you already have made, which I thought was an interesting way to do it. It's a big time saver, and it's the same thing at the end of the day.
Reheated eggs? I don't know. I don't know about
Well, just
that.
think about all the frozen. Think about any time you've ever gotten like a breakfast sandwich at Dunkin' Donuts. It's a frozen egg.
Okay. All right. Never mind. I stand.
I don't
And
know
it
how
works
much
well,
longer
right? Yeah.
I want to stretch egg talk for, but I will say this. This last thought I have, eggs are very interesting that as a single ingredient thing, you can make it like 20 different ways and that it
Yeah.
tastes different and without adding anything to them.
Throw a little cheese on it.
But no, without even adding anything to the egg, you can cook it all these different ways and it tastes completely different. And it's just the one ingredient.
It's like the potatoes of the egg world.
The egg
Okay.
world only consists of eggs. Like, it's the egg of the egg world.
I see what Gordo's saying. You can do potatoes like 100 different ways.
I would, yes, it's like the potato of maybe, it's not dairy,
No.
It's a weird thing too, right? Because like I was vegetarian for a long
not
time.
dairy at all. No.
but it's in the dairy section if you're at a supermarket.
It is in the dairy section. Yeah, eggs are with milk. But like I don't know, as a vegetarian, I ate eggs, and a lot of vegetarians like won't, right? Like, and you have to like draw that weird line with yourself, where you're like, is this technically an animal? And that leads into a very weird political,
I'm gonna say people have that argument all the time, so we'll skip right by that
political
one.
conversation we
And,
shouldn't have on this podcast.
We'll
but
move right on past that. Yeah, so what I like about to go back in her opening up the cabinet and it being full of chickens is Jesse's like, wait, what? And when she runs over and opens it, it's just back to normal. And I like that they did give you that contrast to remind you like how it should look and that it was just a one-time deal.
there's not just a bunch of like hens hanging out in.
That's like a rare time that her powers are like strong. Like she
Right.
altered reality just now. Every other time she's like, let me move the soap with my brain. It's like-
And it catches fire. Every time it just catches fire.
Well, it comes up again though too. Though she's got power, but her power always has like a weird caveat that backfires on her.
I get that the chicken thing is obviously, if you're Jesse or Rob, very strange thing to see, right? Not knowing what's going on. But like Rob's reaction, like, that's a weird trick. I'm going to go tell Dad. It's like, that doesn't really like fit his character at all. So
Cheers, my only weakness.
yeah.
The character is just like a weird little cuck kid where he's like, I don't want the pretty lady. I'm telling Dad about the eggs. Like, dude, fuck off. This is the worst character writing.
When he goes to stand up, the chair is stuck to
agree.
his butt. And that's that's her using her witchcraft to stop him. She could glue his feet to the cement, but instead, or like to the floor so he can't walk. But instead it's just like, look, a chair's stuck to your butt. Good luck talking to your dad like that with a chair
With
on
a
your
chair
butt.
stuck to his butt, he could just walk out in a single line through any door in the house and go into any room he wants.
Call me crazy, but I think that's paradise. I can sit down whenever I want.
I wash myself with a rag on a stick.
When he agrees to not tell Dad, the chair falls off. And now that Rob has accepted the fact that she's a witch, wants her to use her magic to help convince his dad to let him go to the Pond Scum concert. I do think that the idea of, man, what a weird niche item if you made Pond Scum shirts.
Look,
Hey, Joe, that's
I went
something you would do.
I went deep. I looked up. There have been 2 bands in the history of bands with names out there called Pond Scum with 2 words, right? There's one modern one that's like a hippie-ish, folky thing. But there's a band from 1987. They were a Canadian punk band who apparently somebody just released like a CDR of a live set they played at a Boys and Girls Club. This is like the only thing you can find. But there's like a kid with a mohawk on the cover. And the fact that that was 87, I'm like, that tracks to this. And to me, in my brain, that band is the band they were going to see.
Well, I mean, this band seemed to be like a big deal because we find out a little bit later that like there was 200 injuries in the hotel alone the last time they were in town.
Are we to guess? Like, I'm thinking 89. Is this supposed to be like, are we going to think like Guns N' Roses?
I
that's,
was thinking
the
like
easiest
Guar.
proxy.
I thought this was like a fake Guar.
I was thinking like a metal show, like Judas Priest or something that's like scary but not scary.
Or like when everybody thought that like Ozzy Osbourne was a Satanist or Rob Halford was like a Satanist or whatever.
Yeah, well, you know, Judas Priest had that record that played backwards.
Also, if anybody has never seen the documentary about that, it's amazing.
It is.
So she helps him with this Pond Scum thing, right? By even though, well, Jesse goes, well, it's sold out. Like, how are you going to be able to go to that? And when he's like, oh, don't worry about that. And then bing, 2 tickets pop up out of the toaster. He can go with the stipulation that he takes his sister, which is like a weird stance for this woman to take, having meeting these kids for the first time, but she's stepping right in with it. You need to do more things with your sister. She doesn't know their dynamic. She literally met them 10 seconds ago.
Well, the sister was excited about the show.
Was she? I didn't even get that vibe that she like cared about the show that much.
Me too.
But in any event, they have to go together now.
Yeah, they're going together now. That's fine. But this is such a weird thing. I'm trying to think of the proxy of it. Or it's like, I don't know, like they're 16 and 13. If you're going to a show that has like a venue that has seats like that too, like that seems weird to me as well to be left alone as like a 13-year-old kid. Like we would like go to shows when we were younger at that age, but like you kind of like snuck in and they were like during the day in places, you know, like you couldn't go to like a big seated venue at night when you were 13.
You're thinking like tables. Maybe it's like an arena.
Yeah, I can't. That's the thing too. I don't know how big Pond Scum is, but
well, when we make our Pond Scum World Tour 1989 t-shirts for our merch page coming soon.
So Dad walks in and he's like, "Oh, I see you all met Winnie," and Rob starts telling him about the concert. He's like reluctant. He knows of the band. He mentions all these people who got injured in the hotel. Winnie's like, "Well, if you're so worried, why don't you just go with them?" And again, it's like, I don't know. She's very comfortable with his family very early, but he's like, well, you already said it was a sold out show, so I guess it's a moot point. And he just takes off. And then
again, though, more that this character is just like a fucking cuck, where it's like, I want to go see this dangerous rock and roll band. You have to take your sister. Okay. Your fucking dad's coming out too. Okay. It's like, what are you doing? You were not a rebellious teenager at all. You're not horny. You were the worst.
He's the worst because he's not horny?
Because he says he's horny.
I like my young sitcom boys horny.
Okay, look, you're putting words in my mouth right now. That's not what I said. That's what you said. But
or maybe
he's played as the horny
fan.
teen and then doesn't. And then he says that he wants to go see the rebellious rock and roll band. And he bends over to go with family members that would not be what that character would do in a normal sitcom.
Maybe he's a mega fan and he'd do whatever it takes to see his favorite band. Maybe he cares about the music, unlike you.
I'm just there for the scene, man.
Yeah, he didn't necessarily like jump at the opportunity. Like, yeah, Dad, why don't you come with me? Like, he didn't really say one way or another how he felt about that.
Like,
Dad, you
reluctantly
love Pond
accepted.
Scum. We'll get you a World Tour 89 shirt at S1E1pod.com.
No, the Free Spirit World Tour.
Thank you for taking a bad idea and making it worse.
That's like the easiest shirt idea, Jake.
No one wants a free spirit shirt. No one, people listening to this episode right now didn't know this was a show until they saw we covered it.
But they might wear a Pond Scum shirt.
So anyways, after he leaves the room, she creates another ticket out of the toaster so Dad can come. And then
Pond
Don't.
Scum.
don't.
Even I thought it.
So we cut to later on in the day, and now we see all these random toys being like, they're propped up to be like makeshift bowling pins so Gene can practice. Here's my thing. I don't know if you guys got a good look at it. So they have all these like different, like a transformer and all these different toys that are all standing in like the positioning that the 10 pins would be in. 2 of them are toy bowling pins. So he has he has a bowling set.
There.
Just
No.
Use
He
all
has
10 pins.
20% of a bowling set for some reason.
And he doesn't know how to bowl.
He just used 2 out of the, just use all 10 pins. And
Mama ran away with the other pins. Just like
She was
So,
she's a juggler. She took them for her act. He left 2 behind.
she left with the circus.
so he's practicing with the bowling and he throws the ball and he hits like half of them the first time around.
She's a witch. Why can't she just make a bowling alley, an actual bowling alley in the
Right.
house?
Turn the kitchen into
Real
a bowling alley
pins.
for 10 minutes.
Yeah, like I feel like, we
You
just
made
covered
chickens appear. You
we
can't
covered
make
Bewitched
bowling-
a couple weeks ago, right? Like if this was Samantha, and granted you're not dealing with children in the situation, take them out of the house, but Samantha would have just like did something with her nose and they would have appeared in the middle of a bowling alley and they could have like,
Right.
went bowling.
They would have just made out in the bowling alley, though. That's what they do.
The train just goes through the bowling alley for some reason while they're making out. Is this also not a missed opportunity to put a good guy doll as one of the toys?
Which came first? When did
Child's
you
Play
do-
1 is before this. And he's,
84? Child's Play
Uh,
1?
I think it's 86, the first one?
Did he
You can
do the
look that
first
up.
one? I know I saw
He's done
him on
all of
the
it. He did the
okay.
first 3. Yeah, he's the good guy doll in the first 3, so.
Well, he's it when it runs from the above view, not always.
No, I think he does
Not-
the voice.
Oh, the I'm your friend to the end voice?
Yeah, I think he's the voice when it's not Chucky. Like when it's actually the good guy doll.
Oh, I just thought it was the aerial view when they show like a kid running by.
I don't know, but that'd
He
be funny
always
that'd be funny by the 3rd one where he's like 11 and they're like, we have to shoot this in a really weird angle.
After he rolls that ball for the first time, he hits some of them. He's accusing Winnie of helping him along the way and using witchcraft to have him help, like, knock these pins over. He's like, 'cause I'm bad at bowling. It's like, no, you just have to, like, it's all in the wrist. And then she's saying, if my dad ever catches us doing this, like, we're in big trouble. And she's like, oh, well, I'll handle TJ. And this is when Gene goes, you called him TJ? Nobody ever calls my dad except, you shouldn't call him that. It's like,
It gets fucking
I'm sorry, that's
So
dead.
weird
That's
here.
dead mom talk.
I get it.
That is
It's
not
not- yeah.
divorce.
Yeah, then
That is-
that's
position.
Mama's guitar.
Yep.
that's very dead mom, not she ran off. But I guess if you're a little kid and your mom ran off and you're going to be just as depressed, right?
But also the manicness of this scene, right? So he says you called him TJ. He gets all bummed out, right? He's like, never mind. And you think he's going to leave. And then he doesn't leave. And he's like, anyway, you wanted me to bowl, right? And you're like, oh, wait, no, he's fine again. He's going to bowl. And then he bowls a strike. And then they do so many slow motion. Like it's
They're
my
slow
God.
motion celebrating
It's
as the
insane.
ball continues to roll. And then the ball rolls straight through the toys and hits like the leg of the hutch. And it knocks the entire giant hutch over.
But that's when it goes back to normal speed for the thing falling really fast.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
No, that's slow too.
It is
Because that's what I was laughing at with like how bad this would have been
No,
live.
it
Because
falling, it looked really fast to me.
No.
that's just witch magic.
So after it falls, she's not worried because, she's a witch. She's like,
You fix
oh,
it.
like for like a normal mortal, it's an uh-oh. But for me, it's just but then TJ and the kids walk in. So now she can't use her magic to fix it.
We talk about how much I love that when TJ comes in, he's wearing his leather jacket because he wants to look cool
I
for the
noted
Pond
that too.
Scum fucking show.
He wanted nothing to do with
killed
this.
me.
Yeah. But he's like, well, if I'm going to see Pond Scum, I might as well wear my leather jacket.
He's still wearing slacks and like a tucked in button up like an accountant, but he has a fucking leather jacket on. It's so good.
So this is clearly, by the way, if you're watching, you can see that it was a commercial break. And so when it cuts back into it, it's kind of like the continuation of the scene. And Gene's like, what are you guys doing home? And TJ's like, oh, well, we were tired of just waiting around in the police car. Apparently these tickets that you found were counterfeit. So
How
yeah,
does
it's
she
like,
make bootleg tickets?
yeah, she's a witch. She couldn't make real tickets. She could only make bootlegs. Also, you don't go into a cop car for that. If someone sells you bum tickets, they just don't let you inside. They don't arrest you for having fake tickets.
Yeah.
Unless they think that you were the person creating and selling and profiting off those tickets,
Yeah.
they just think that you're a poor rube who got swindled.
Unless they
You get
find
to go home
50
and
of
miss the
them.
show.
Yeah, exactly. You just go home.
You don't get put in a cop car and told to spread them, which also, pardon me, that seems a bit egregious, bud.
And
You have a
then-
fake ticket and you were with your teenage kids? Spread your asshole right now. Like, wait, what?
Listen, man, he had a leather jacket on. He meant business.
We know
He
you're
was
a street
trouble.
tough.
So between that and the hutch and all this stuff and learning that they're bowling in the house, he asked to see Winnie in his office. And Thomas, who, I mean, like, is justifiably angry with all these things in mind. Like, you gave me fake tickets. You just broke my hutch. Like, you're bowling in the house. He's like, you know what? I don't think this is working out. And she counters by going, yeah, well, you're a shitty dad. And it's like, so,
Yeah, her counter is, you suck at parenting.
so like, and again, like, true, he needs to be a little bit more present as a dad, but everything he's mad about is very fair, right? And she counters by like, you know, your son's upset and is afraid to talk to you, and the other one won't tell you where he's going, and your daughter's like missing out on her childhood because she's trying to replace her mother who's not here anymore. It's like,
She's dead.
it's like,
Also,
that
like, this
doesn't
girl has lived
change-
there for, what, 48 hours max?
It's like, okay, cool. That doesn't change that you gave me fake tickets and broke the hutch.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm sorry, don't vilify him for being a single dad who has to work to have this giant house for his 3 kids that he has to pay for.
Yeah, he also has a pretty big... I mean, I like this scene, too, though. He's like, I have to establish myself as a new lawyer. Be like, okay, Connecticut to New York is not that far. Yeah. And you're clearly a pretty good lawyer because you got the kids and you got a house with 4 bedrooms and you can afford a nanny. You're doing fine, bud.
Not only that, but to be a lawyer in another state,
You gotta pass
I think
the bar
you have
for
to
that
pass
state.
that bar. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then when she's going through that whole rant about how he's a shitty parent, Gene misses his mom so much he can't even talk about it. But you know what? He misses his dad even more.
This is so... And the score here really starts to get you.
Thomas is like, you know, I don't think this is working out. I already have 3 kids. I don't need a 4th. And she goes, oh, but you do. Because this family is 1 kid short. The kid and you. Oh,
Somebody
shit.
let this line
Oh,
go
shit.
into the television show. This whole scene is the now punky like part of the show, and it's fucking
next line.
so awful.
The next line should have been, fuck you, you're fired, bitch.
Get the fuck out of my house.
Also, there's a surprising hell in this show. Like they said, like, hell, and I wasn't expecting it on a kid's show.
Well, it's not a kid show. It's a
An
prime
adolescent
time
show.
Yeah. This is meant for family entertainment.
This is a Disney product.
So in the next scene, now we're at the bowling tournament and the whole family's there with Gene. This is a very important bowling tournament, as we've come to learn.
Oh, can I just add one thing before you get to that? How come the dad could take the kids to a concert, but he didn't have time to take the kid bowling?
He likes the other kids
Right.
more.
Holy shit, Ferd. Fuck you. Oh my god. That's the biggest hole yet.
Well, it's a different night. That night he had something planned.
Yeah,
He
it's
had
a
to do the
different
road
night.
trip.
He could have taken him bowling that different night, but he was very willing to take them to a concert.
I think if we've learned anything by the leather jacket, we already have established that TJ is secretly a big Pond Scum fan. So he was like super excited about the concert, and that's why he's prioritizing that over being a good father, which Winnie has already made very clear that he's not.
He's not.
So
My assumption was the next client he had to do a nighttime will for, because that's how he's establishing himself as this lawyer in the town is, I do nighttime wills. He has like a commercial on TV. That guy died and the will was no longer relevant, so he got to go to that show.
Like the next scene it should have been like the little son being like, "Can you please read me Greg the Bunny?" He's like,
So, will you? It's don't say will. I have to charge you hours for that.
at this bowling tournament, again, the idea that the whole family's there for it, like, oh, Gene's playing some random girl in his class in bowling. Like, we all have to be there to show support. So, you know, anyone who might have had any other obligations, father included, they all dropped everything to be here. This is a big moment for this kid, right? The girl next door is like making fun of him, and it's like, your turn, chicken arms. And her dad, her dad is like the nerdiest dude in the world, and he's laughing, and I'm like,
again, you fucking nerd.
If you're Gene's dad, and you're right next to this dad who's now laughing at your kid,
you level
why didn't
this
you
dad.
fucking slap him? Yeah, like, how do you just let that go?
I'll sue you for defamation, as I assume what he would actually do.
Like, that's like if you had like a cooler character as the dad, he would have grabbed his head and like banged it against the desk, you know, like shot it forward, so he like slapped it on the desk where he's keeping score.
I'm gonna go home and prepare your will.
If the dad had worn his leather jacket to the bowling alley, he would have taken care of this guy. But it's like his Samson thing, right? Like without the jacket, he's not tough.
So Gene then rolls a gutter ball, and he's like, if only they put the pins in the gutter. And
that line, the absurdity of that line actually made me laugh.
And then from in the distance, you hear, come on, Gene, it's all in the wrist. Well, what do you know? Winnie showed up to the bowling tournament, even though we don't even know if she lives on Earth. Like, so she made her way all the way back just to be here for Gene's big moment because, again, we know this bowling tournament's super important. Everyone's very excited to see her. And she's like, come on, it's as easy as knocking over a hutch. And he rolls the ball again, and what do you know? He gets a strike, and everyone celebrates. You get that little her and TJ almost hug, but they stop one another, and then they continue to celebrate.
God forbid we
I wish it just cut up to like she got there for the last part though, so it's like a score 90-10. Like he's still.
Well, that's what I was
lost.
gonna say. So this makes no sense, right? Because we next see them, he wins, and he's got a trophy because with Winnie there, he was able to bowl a strike. But every other time he's bowled, he's hitting a gutter ball, which means that his top score is 10, and if she just hit one pin every time, she'd still win. So did she come right at the very beginning of the game?
Well, your theory is if she came at the very end, and there's all the other frames in between she could have showed up at. So she could have showed up at like the third frame in plenty of time to catch up.
Hold on. You get three tries in bowling, right?
Not in 10 pin.
Okay. I only play
Two.
candle pin.
I was going to say, sorry, for those of you who don't live in the region we live in, where
New England
Massachusetts
area.
people, like in the New England area, we play candle pin, the smaller ball bowling, and you get 3 attempts to anyone who's listening. And as much as I like to make fun of Gordo, this is one of those opportunities where he's not saying anything out of turn and weird.
It's the better version of bowling. I don't care what anybody says.
You guys
Agreed.
are more used
Superior
to
bowling.
Yeah, 10 pin, which is the larger ball, you get 2 attempts.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Now, can I
That's
say
why the
that-
spare is such a big thing, because you can get 10 down in both your runs.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes more sense. But all right. So to my other point, he already rolled one ball and it went into the gutter. This could have been frame 1 or set 1.
Yeah, it could have literally been his first throw of the
Oh
whole
no,
game.
we
that
don't know
missed.
when it was. I was just saying it would have been funny if when she showed up it was at the end. I wasn't saying that's what happened.
It was like too
Oh.
late. She showed up way too late, and he still lost.
Like, he's celebrating, like he won, and they just pan over, and like the girl and her nerdy fucking dad are walking away with a giant trophy. It's like, well, you tried your best, Punky.
Like because she destroyed the schedule. You know, when it was Mortals 1, no, Mortals 0, Witches 1. She fucking destroyed the schedule. She had the wrong time.
So somehow, whatever time she did show up, it was enough for him to win the game. And we cut to later that night, and Gene's in his room, and Winnie walks in. I don't know if she followed them home or what's going on, but she shows up, and he's like, I know what this trophy means. Like, you're done here now. And they're both sad about the situation and this idea that, like, you know, she doesn't need to be there anymore. Gene still thinks that she used her magic to help him win, but she makes it very obvious that, you know, I didn't use my magic. I taught you how to bowl. If you cheated, you know, if I helped you cheat, it would have cheated you in turn. You wouldn't have learned anything from it.
Can I say, why the fuck did he win a trophy?
It was a tournament.
Because he beat
So
that
he
bitch.
made it to the finals and didn't know how to bowl?
The only people who can actually bowl, the only person who can actually bowl is the girl, Betty or whatever her name is, and he's just the least bad of everybody else. So he's made it up the ranks.
Listen, there's a lot wrong with the episode. I think fundamentally the idea that this whole story arc is built around teaching Gene how to bowl is a weird thing to focus on. To have the big climax be this weird bowling thing between him and some random girl in his class. But yes, obviously you're right. If he didn't know how to bowl at all, and now he's in a position where he can win a trophy if he beats this one girl, doesn't completely add up.
We don't know if he played someone else right after.
Like this is hour one of a 7-hour bowling alley.
Yeah,
night
he might have
for
went
this
on
family.
a tear after that. Yeah, once he started using his wrist.
He started using his wrist.
So we cut to a little bit later on, and now she's packing up her things in her room, and that's when Thomas walks in. And I guess all that stuff she said to him before, all that really deep stuff really started to sink in. And now he's saying how he's been paying too much attention to the life he wants, but not enough to the people that are in his life. And he tells her that he'd like to unfire her. And every time there's these reminders of like her potentially staying, whether it had been when she was talking to Gene or now with TJ, lightning keeps going off because, again, that is the voice of whatever witch or warlock is overseeing her deeds.
There had to have been a scene cut, by the way, because there was no catalyst for this change in the dad. He just all of a sudden loves her and wants to be a better, like...
I agree.
She
I thought this
helped
was weird, yeah.
Gene succeed. Gene won because of her help.
And we didn't mention it, but at the end, when everyone's celebrating, when Gene hits the strike, they go to hug, and they both give that, like, will they, won't they look, and then get away from each other. So they, like, plant the seed that, like, they might be into each other.
the seed that was obviously there the whole time.
Here's what I don't
Right.
understand, right? So this whole thing with Gene wanting her to stay, and now him saying, you know, I want to unfire you, and she's like, I wish I could, I can't, and you get the lightning and all this shit. Her thing is like we said earlier, it's like a community service thing. Like you have to, like, once every 100 years, you have to do a deed. It's almost like jury duty for them. Once she does it, why can't she just stay there? She's like good. She can do whatever she wants again.
Yeah,
She's like,
I don't know. We don't know what she's got going on the other side there.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, we don't know if she's dead or alive or anything. I don't know.
As they're talking, she's like, oh, I'm sorry, TJ. I mean, Thomas. And he's like, no, TJ's good. And then he even offers to be flexible with the schedule. Like, he's done a complete 180, right? And now him letting her call him TJ, which is something that is apparently not dead wife used to call him, is like, it's all this, you know, whatever. And they do like a real, like, you know, I want you here for the kids. It's like, yeah, I want to be here too for the same reason. And they get really close. And I don't like that they presented a will they, won't they. Like, it doesn't make sense with,
No.
I get other shows do it, right? Country Comfort did it. The Nanny did it. All these other, like, nanny shows, it always ends up this way. But this one, in particular, and take the witch thing away, they made her character very youthful and have a bigger connection with the kids. And she looks more like the kids, almost in age, too. So to have her linked up with the dad doesn't look right to me because she comes off as the young babysitter.
Well, she also falls for Bobcat Goldthwait, so she
But,
has a
but
type.
in the context of this episode, I think it doesn't look right to have the two of them as a potential love interest.
Bobcat's
Yeah,
a cop, though, and she has a power complex, I think.
We don't know her age. They don't say it.
But the characters played very youthful.
Yes, I thought that maybe she was like 16, 17 because like she looks close enough in age to the oldest brother.
The oldest brother's taller than her, and she's like
an
always
immortal
giggling and
being.
stuff.
She's probably like a couple 100 years old. She's probably
Thank you
older
for.
than
I
him.
was just gonna say we don't know what age she is. Like my guess is like 712. Like I don't think the age number
I'm not
is
saying
the
a
issue.
legality thing. I'm saying when you look at the two of them together and the way that the character's been presented the whole episode, making this a love interest situation just doesn't seem like the right fit. It really should have just been like she's the fun. It's like Charles in Charge is another nanny show we did, right? He was with the kids. There was never a point where like he was gonna end up hooking up with the mom. Like that wasn't how that was supposed to go.
Better show. Better show.
Better show in comparison. But the reason for that, too, the youthful babysitter thing, is because she's only endearing herself to the children. Think about the interactions that she's had with the father. If the show was centered more on her and the father, then yeah, I could see the will they, won't they popping up. But like the whole episode is her impressing the youngest son and like calling the dad shitty and then the dad barking orders to her at the beginning. That's it.
Can a witch and a human
Yeah.
sleep together?
Yes.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I
I don't
saw
know
the
which-
witchcraft
What
movies.
was
There's a
this in
lot
which-
of sex.
I just don't know if the parts are compatible. Like, do you not have...
She's got human form.
Yeah.
What do you have, a war dick?
Pardon?
Like a war dick or a war badge? Like,
What are you talking about?
I don't know what words you're using. Are these from video games?
Oh, he's going
Also-
with Warlock.
Warlock is the male version, though.
Warcock would have been.
Yeah, that would
But again, that wouldn't work for the female witch character.
you don't know that if we're going to throw out hypotheticals.
But like in these things, it's always like, and her vagina was an eye of newt. Like, I don't know what it's supposed to look like. Can she even
What?
satisfy him? Can you have witch human coitus? I don't know.
What lore have you ever read? Witches are humans.
I do some writing on the side if you want to get a peek into some of the stuff I've been working on. Witch Pussy Volume 7 is my new novel I've been working on.
I thought you were frozen.
Today.
Nope. It's just there's certain times where you're like, how do I reel this back in?
You're at the last seconds of this show. Just land the plane.
Yeah.
Land the broom.
So, and then there's like this whole thing too, right? Where this particular scene closes out with, so now they're kind of doing this little will they, won't they? And I don't want you to leave. I don't want to leave. And then like the thunder is like, again, it's the thunder is a character really in the show because it's something. Whoever she's answering to is the thunder. Really, he looks outside and he's like, "Oh, it looks like bad weather," and she's like, "Oh, like maybe not."
Which I don't know what that means either.
Yeah, it's like this was supposed to be a moment, but again, they didn't explain it. It's like, so
High
what are they looking out the
pressure.
window at?
Like, is the thunder talking to her and we can't hear it, but she can? It's like, you
I
can
think so.
stay.
Yeah,
Like she speaks thunder, but we don't.
yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of times where this show is really trying to be deep, but the show about the like young giddy witch who helps the kid bowl is not like is not the time to be like, yeah, find the child inside of you. That's not the show
Yeah.
for that, you know? And they're trying to have all these like deep moments in the show and they just never fit.
It's the same show. This is like find the child in you, and the next joke she says to him is like, "Well, don't go start eating fiber." You're like, "Oh fuck me, what is happening here?"
So now, from there we get to the last scene, and the kids are all sad that Winnie's gone until she walks in a second later, and it's like, "Winnie, you're back." And this was like, I don't know how many days later it is because I thought they just established that night that she was going to stick around, but
Right. I would imagine this is the next day or the same evening.
right. I think it was a morning thing. So now she shows up and we're redoing the egg thing, but now she wants to do everything the right way. She doesn't want to use her witchcraft for some reason. I don't remember why she felt that she has to do everything on the up and up now.
Yeah, I don't
no
get that either.
explanation.
Yeah.
What's
It's like,
the
I'm going to
point?
make eggs, but I got to do it right. It's like, okay. And then that's when Jean kind of gets into that whole thing like, yeah, like all those scuzzy dishes over there. Like, she could just use her magic, but like, it won't be rewarding if she doesn't do it herself. And then you get the magic
the worst
soap
CGI
effect.
of the episode.
You get you see like the Dawn dish soap like raise up over the sink and start squirting all over the dishes. And it's the I won't tell if you don't tell, and they all start giggling together, and that's when the dad walks in his pajamas and bathrobe and just assumes they're all laughing because of that. He's like, "Oh, you guys all think you look so hot in the morning?" And they're all just giggling together.
Shut
Oh,
the fuck up,
worst.
Dad.
Dad doesn't know. She's using her sorcery to clean dishes.
Also, weirdly, Bewitched ends the same way, where it's like
Dishes.
The
You have
dishes,
to do
that's
the
right.
dishes
Yeah.
before
I
the
didn't
end
even
of the
think about
episode.
that. Yeah. What is it with
Wow.
witches and dishes? What's the deal?
Why do witches do dishes? Who are these witches? Where do they get their dawn?
I forget what one of our more recent episodes, I was listening back. I forget which one off the top of my head now. And
Bewitched.
Joe does such a blatant, unintentional Jerry Seinfeld when he's getting excited about something.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish I could.
It's honestly not intentional. I've been called out for it before. It's just like I get high pitched. Like it turns into Jerry.
Why is he doing that? But
I don't want to be a pirate.
but anyways, yeah, this whole chuckle about the dad doesn't know that we have a witch secretly in the house thing closes out the episode. So yeah, that's everything that happens here, and I don't know, it's
You don't need to sugarcoat this.
Yeah, you don't.
No, but it's
there's
so
no
weird to me
additional
because
thoughts.
what's frustrating is I look at this show and I see all this stuff that works, right? And they just like, and to me, it all came down to the writing. Even like the
Yeah.
goofy
We've seen
premise
plenty of
works
shows that
in
have done
sitcom
this.
world.
The
Yeah.
bones are there for a good show.
And the
Right.
actors are good, and the chemistry is good with most of the cast. It's
And they
just
put the money
writing
into
is
it. It's an
bad.
ABC TGIF sitcom. You got the composers to like, it's like everything's there. Like you have a good song in place. You got good actors in this, and then like, oh yeah, we forgot the most important thing is the writing, and it just fouled up the whole show. And it was just like the idea that like such minor tweaks could have made this like a legitimately like good show. And
What do you think happened between the Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie and then this, right? Because it's like what, a 30-year gap, right? How many in between those?
And then Sabrina came out after.
Well, yeah, way after. But I mean, was there any more supernatural in between the two, or was this show like one of the first that tried to do it again?
Let's try to bring it back.
I'm sure if we were to really start doing our homework, which I don't have the time at the moment, we would find there was definitely not a 30-year gap without a witch show, but
Right, yeah, I wouldn't think so, but
I mean, in a popular culture too, in movies for sure, right? Like there's tons of witchcraft movies throughout that whole time. They're usually though are like dark and serious.
But I don't know. Yeah, it's just, and I don't think it's just the fact that they use witches, but I mean, Ferg's touched on it a lot. Just this not even understanding what a witch is.
Right.
yeah.
And I know,
know.
hey, it's your property, right? You not everything has to be copy paste. You can put your spin on things, but like most of her powers and circumstances, and you have to do witch community service, but you're more of a genie to them. Like it just doesn't.
Yeah,
It
the
just
whole
didn't
thing
make
is
sense.
just odd.
The only thing about this show, maybe I'll save it for the green light or cancel. I'll save it for that.
All right, well, you know what? Let's just get right into the green light or cancel, and then because I don't want to have to sit on that too long, Gordo, we'll just start with you.
Okay, well, thank you, Jay. So, this is a cancel. This is just straight up
What?
dog caca. What I was about to say was the only thing that makes me want to watch the show is I want to know what the fuck is the lore. Like, what the fuck are they thinking? What is the ethos? How does this witch exist in this world? That is the only thing I want to see, and I feel like I can get like a 2-sentence explanation on Wikipedia. You guys have touched on it all throughout the episode. Almost every piece is there for a good show except the writing. I don't know what else to say. The goofy slow motion shit was just weird. Funny, but not like funny haha. Funny like Nelson. Cancel.
Nick.
Yeah, it's a cancel. It's we touched on it, just a few seconds ago. There's a green light hiding in this show somewhere, right? Because it was acted really well. I think the cast was, they picked the right people for the cast. It's just, it all goes back to the writing, which you need to have good writing to keep people interested. And I could not care less what happens in the second episode of this show. It's just so poorly put together, and I can't watch it. I can't watch the train wreck. I don't care to watch that. It had potential, but there's not nearly enough there for me to give this a green light, so I'm sticking with a cancel.
Ferg.
Yeah, I agree with the boys. Has the bones of a good show. Terrible execution. Plot was just full of holes. The mother's clearly dead, and fucking she's an either guardian angel or a ghost or something. She's not a witch. It's just so much weird random shit, and I cannot get behind a show where the main plot is a witch teaching a kid bowling. So hard cancel for me, but still not the worst show we've ever covered.
Every time you say it out loud, a witch teaches a kid to bowl. It's like the point to a show. It's insane, yeah.
Joe.
Look, I'm not going to go too deep on this. I think everybody said everything already, and we all said it for the past 2 hours. Obviously, this is a cancel. But Ferg, you just said something that kind of piqued my interest. This show, although I don't think it would have been good, you mentioned Guardian Angel. If this was a show like Highway to Heaven, where it's like Michael Landon goes every day and it's like Hallmarky and he helps people with their problems, like a religious quantum leap scenario, it would make sense. It doesn't make sense for a witch to do any of this, and not do anything really witchy ever. This is so fucking bad. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is not the worst thing we've covered. I will say Homeboys in Outer Space is certainly worse than this, Gordo, but this is such a cancel.
Yeah, I'm not planning to do anything shocking at this time. It's going to be a cancel for me too. Again, and I went into this one like thinking that this was going to be sneaky fun and just like was a product of bad timing or something, but I don't know, it's frustrating. You see like a lot of the right stuff's there, and at some point, like, who steps back, who's working on this project and being like, hey, this dialogue's bad and the story's bad and this is an easy fix. And if there was an unaired pilot, what was that show? And what notes went into it that they were like, yep, we nailed it now. Very interesting.
I would love to see the unaired pilot. I genuinely would love to see it.
I mean, that was probably more about the cast change than anything, but
probably.
So I don't know. I think it's a little upsetting that the story was so weak. But yeah, I'm not going to further elaborate. It's just a cancel. It's just not a great show.
Real quick, do you think if we had, none of us remember the show at all, if we had any kind of nostalgia for it, do you think that would have changed our opinions?
Because I don't think you would have been able to gain nostalgia from this because it was just so bad. You know, all these things we have nostalgia for were, you know, at one point arguably decent to watch, right? Like
Perfect Strangers or something from this time that was good.
And it would have been something that, and like this was like not straight up a kid's show either. Like this was meant for like the whole family being on TGIF.
I would say like it'd be like watching Reading Rainbow right now, right? Like from around the same time. You would have nostalgia for it because you remember watching it as a kid, but it's probably not fun to watch as an adult, to watch a 40-year-old.
And we've had that happen when we've gone over some of the Nickelodeon shows we've covered and try to kind of go into that thinking like, okay, Welcome Freshman was only really made for like 8-year-olds to watch, you know, like and 10-year-olds. This show here was meant for like fun for the whole family. So like us watching it now in our later 30s at this point in time, like we were also considered when the show was made. This show we were part of the audience that this was intended for. Yeah. So to watch it with fresh eyes now, like, yeah, maybe nostalgia would have helped if we had watched it back then, but I really just don't think it landed anywhere. But with all that in mind,
can I just make one point before we go?
No, sorry. Good night, everyone. No, go ahead.
Do you think that I'm not changing my cancel, but I wonder if the second episode is better than the first. I wonder if they worked out the kinks because everything else is in place but the writing. I wonder if
it's a pretty big kink.
I don't know if they got new writers though, but you know,
it couldn't have gotten better because the show got canceled. It didn't get back to TGIF or anything. If it got better, it would have been going for years.
You know what? It was all dookie, no spooky.
True.
Very true.
You know, if you really want to know, I think the episode might be available on YouTube. You can go ahead and let us know.
Somebody watch it and let us know, because I don't think any of us are going to. Maybe Gordo might, but I don't
no, that's the funny thing is Gordo's wondering, but he will not watch the second episode.
Well, lucky he watched the first.
So with all that in mind, thank you to everyone who's listened to us talk about this show for so long. So I want to wrap it up right now. I want to thank all of you once again listening. Again, go to S1E1pod.com. That's where you can find all the links. Everywhere you can find us on social media. Again, sorry to Free Spirit, 0 out of 5. You don't live on for another episode with us. But to all of you again, hit us up. Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, S1E1pod. Let us know shows you want to cover, what you think of the show in general. Hit us up. If you have an idea for any cool theme months we can do, we just did a back to school last month, and we always do this one for October. Let us know. But until then, we'll catch you again next week for our 4th and final episode of this month's spooky, dooky, Halloween-y, spectacular October block that we do. So see you then. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
I think we got the kid in you.